Hey y'all, it's me, Janae, and welcome back to the Dragon's Den. Today's video is going to be called I Am Bigger Than the Program because it's self-explanatory. Let's get into it. It's going to be a get ready with me, y'all. So, I decided that I want to talk about this with y'all because, for starters, before we do anything, we are doing rosewater toner. So, y'all, it's been so many instances where I had to realize that, yes, I acknowledge that something could have existed before me, or maybe it was decided that before I came along, before I existed, before I was a part of something, that the way that it was going to go was a certain type of way. But I believe that you can decide, you can decide that you don't want things to be a certain way, or a certain way for you in particular. And I do know that there's definitely pushback that you can receive when you make that decision, because it's odd that the way that a lot of people are, when for the most part they believe that you can only do things a certain way, or you can only look a certain way, you can only behave a certain way, then when you kind of go against that program, it's weird. It's almost like they try to behave like enforcers of that ideology, and they're going to try to keep you in that bucket or that mindset, because they're like, no, this is the way, this is the only way that it's going to get done. This is the only way that it's been getting done. Who said that? I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm so damn hard-headed. But I honestly and truthfully believe that if you make up in your mind that certain things, certain beliefs, certain systems don't apply to you, then they don't apply to you. And I realized how radical that actually is the other day, because for the most part, a lot of people will behave like, we're going in foundation, a lot of people will behave like they stand on business, like they run a strict program, like they not letting certain stuff slide, like they speak up, they're going against certain things. But people really not moving like that for real, y'all. And the reason why they're not moving like that for real is because for the most part, it's uncomfortable. You think if you somebody that is speaking against injustice, or you're somebody that's not doing what everybody else is doing. Ooh, I forgot primer. So this is a little tip or trick that I use, you guys. If I forget my primer, I mix it in with my foundation. So, for the most part, like, people talk a big talk, but they not walking that walk, or they're not living that live. And the older I get is the more I understand that for the most part, you can't force people to be revolutionary. I don't even think that at times I wanted to be revolutionary when I thought certain things. I think, honestly and truthfully, I'm just hard-headed as hell. And for the most part, I have a hard time sticking to structures that I don't believe in. So I'm bringing this up for the sake of just like, I've seen it a whole lot on TikTok, and I feel like it's relevant to the topic. There are a lot of, and even people I know in day-to-day life have brought this up in conversation, and I get it. However, I'm gonna speak on it now. Here we go. Fuck the disclaimer. Just because you are a dark-skinned Black woman does not mean that you cannot find love. It does not mean that you cannot succeed. It does not mean that you are masculine. It does not mean that you have to be overly independent, that you cannot be soft, that you cannot succeed in certain circumstances because people believe that lighter is better, or just whatever the fuck. Like, I feel like it's overly ridiculous. But it comes up a lot. Excuse me. It comes up a lot in conversation, especially lately on TikTok. Sometimes in person, I'm hearing it. And I'm just going to say, I'm not saying that it isn't something that exists. I do realize that we live in a world where people place limitations People want to feel like they are the judge, jury, and executioner. They want to feel like they're running the show. They want to feel like if they say so, then it's not that case. But I live a life of if God says so, then that's what goes, right? And there can be limitations. There can be microaggressions. There can be systems set into place to make you not succeed. But I'm a person that I will say, I feel like to an extent I'm bigger than the program in the way of if I say I'm going to succeed, then I'm going to succeed. And I might not succeed in everyone's else's idea of success, but I'm going to find and create my own idea of success. So sometimes that means maneuvering out of what the norm would be because people have made it so freaking hard for you to succeed. And honestly, I've watched in a lot of different cases that just speaking on like the being a darker skinned woman thing, right? That hell, maybe it is there for a darker woman to be treated as though, oh, you're overly masculine, you're not pretty, you're not this, you're not that, you don't deserve love, you have to overly perform and work for love. I don't subscribe to that. And I don't give a damn if people try to force me into that rhetoric. I'm not going with it because I believe that I am beautiful. I believe that I am deserving of love that I don't have to struggle for and perform for. I believe that I could be just as soft as I want to be. You know, I don't have to be made out to be these things. And I believe that success is what you work for and you strive for. And if you have to redefine success for yourself, then you should go about that. So off of that topic, because this isn't going to be like the whole episode, because these videos are like episodes for me. So what I will say, in certain cases, yeah, sometimes you might have to acknowledge that whatever has been going on has been going on for so long, and that is just the way that things are. You either accept it or you decide you're going to push back within that system. But I believe a good example of becoming the first, because we are in 2026, and there are still many first Black anythings. And I feel like that's insanely ridiculous that there's first Black anything in 2026. But there are. So because there are, I feel like we can acknowledge that no matter what a system has been for so long, you could come through, you could be the trailblazer, you could decide, I'm going to be the one that's going to break that. Beyonce is an example. The first Black man just went up in this Artemis 2, like the space mission or whatever. There's plenty of like first Blacks, other things. I just can't think of them right now. So in that sense, I do believe that I'm bigger than the program. Whatever the hell the program is, it don't matter if it, like what system it's in. I believe that if I truly want something and I'm willing to work for it, then I can attain it. Now, does that mean that I might not run into people literally trying to feel like they can be my God and like they can stop me from accomplishing something? Nah, that don't mean that you're not gonna run into that. Because literally, through so many different instances that I've dealt with, I've watched people try to create a false sense of control within my life. Because I truly feel like, yes, we're all existing at one time on one timeline, but I feel like this is my story. I'm living through my lens. I'm not living through baby girl over there lens or baby boy over there lens. This is my story. I promote and I fire. I hire. I give you lines within my book, whatever, my movie. And I could decide you ain't got no lines, or I could decide you're out of this season, you're getting the boot, right? Because this is my story. I create my story and my program. So the way that you go about realizing like, oh, you bigger than the program, is you create your own damn program. If you realize that the way that things are going, that it's not really meant to work out for you in particular, or people that look like you, people that come from the circumstances that you come from, you need to make up in your mind, oh, okay, so I'm gonna be the one that breaks that. And even if you're not completely the one that can power through and make something like large scale, like successful, you might be the trailblazer that opens the door for people to come behind you, right? Because what I do believe is that people had to come before me for me to be able to do what I can do. In 1974, that's when women were allowed to get a bank account without a man, right? So because that happened, I am able to live an autonomous life. I'm able to get money. I'm able to accomplish some of my dreams and work hard and become a person that can make decisions for myself, that can be an inspiration to other people, that can fight for what I want to see for other people. And in certain instances, you got to see that you have to go as far as you can go, or as far as you can make it, so that the people that come after you can go further. And I genuinely appreciate the women that came before me, just in any instance, because I'm able to be who I can be. Like, I have conversations with family and they're like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad like that you are able to do certain things, because when I was your age, I wasn't able to do that, or I just never got the chance to do it in general. That is a beautiful thing to me. You're supposed to blaze the trail so people come behind you and do better, or you're supposed to be happy for people being able to accomplish things that you didn't get the chance to, you know? So I think that's a big part of why I like talk and decided to have my YouTube and stuff like that, or I decided to go about stuff how I go about it. Not only just to get stuff off my chest, because yes, sometimes I do need to vent a little bit, but in a way, I have recognized that when people started to tell me, I love your content, I love what you talk about, you inspire me, you gave me hope, I use your advice, you have a beautiful spirit, thank you so much for talking about what you talk about, nobody else would mention what you mention out loud. Like, when people say things like that to me, that is beautiful to me, and that makes me happy, because I can know that I feel a little piece of hair on my face. I can know that I had some type of like ripple effect. And the fact that I can make a ripple in someone's life that can change maybe 5 lives. And those 5 lives go on to change 10 and then 50, you know, just however it might go with the math. But that is the biggest thing I think that anyone would really want to accomplish in life, to just be able to change 1 life or 3 or 5, you know? And I've been told by people that they appreciate my content, they appreciate what I do. And I was just watching this video. Damn, I hope that brush not wet. It probably is. On TikTok. I'm gonna pull it up real quick. I gotta pause it because I don't want it to. But damn, basically a TikTok from Darissa Life Coach. That was her acronym. So, she was saying that nothing is above you. And I really learned that when I was younger, because I would always say, nobody's above me and nobody's beneath me. So you can't make me feel less than myself because I don't feel like you're above me. I don't care what my circumstances I'm going through are. I don't care if I have no money in the bank. I don't care if I have no accolades, if I didn't get an education, if I don't give a damn. You hear me? Nobody's better than me. And these social hierarchies that I've had to come to learn, because it's like, say it like this, like I grew up aware. I did. Like I'm aware of things, but I think it took me really fully experiencing certain things in life to be like, oh, y'all for real. So I was aware that people behaved like mean girls. I was aware that people were like, you know, had a little bit of a sense of arrested development where they feel like they still in high school behavioral wise, and where everything is just like a hierarchy and I'm the head, you know, like just weird shit. To me, it's just goofy, personally. I've never really played into it, so maybe that's also why people have always been like, you're lame, you don't, because I just never really played into hierarchies too well. I just always believe, like, if I say I'm that bitch, I'm that bitch. I don't care who got something to say about it. I don't care what outfit you got on. I don't care what house you living in. I don't care what money you make or your peoples make. I don't care what neighborhood you from. I don't give a damn. I said I'm that bitch. And I could be that bitch if I was poor as hell. But it's because I said so. So the hierarchy games, I'm feeling like hair on me. It's right from the damn dog. The hierarchy games just never made sense to me. Like, and I just don't subscribe to that mentality. So nobody is above me, and what I want, I can achieve. Now, do I have to acknowledge at times that maybe, because I don't generally feel like I'm a lazy person. I feel like sometimes you can acknowledge, though, that you might be too lazy for the dream that you setting after. That's one thing. And people either take that information and they decide, I'm going to work harder, or they decide to just let the dream go and they respect it. They be like, hey, I tried it, but I can't. I respect you for being at it. Or they become a hater because they decided this is too much work for me to put in for myself and I don't want to do it. I'm just going to stick to what I got going on, and I'm going to hate anybody else that continues to work towards it, because in my mind, I deem them better than me because I wasn't able to attain that dream that I wanted, right? And opposed to saying I need to put more work in, or I need to go to therapy so I can do the work to deal with the fact that either I was too lazy to, I self-sabotaged and I didn't go after what I really wanted, or I need to just be able to clap for others because I realize that I just genuinely cannot put in the work or don't want to put in the work. They will choose to hate people that put in the work. So I don't give a damn what it is, what instance it's in. Don't feel like anybody's above me. Also don't really feel like anybody's beneath me. I go off of metrics of how you treat me and how you treat others. And I know that's very playground, juvenile to people, because people walk around acting like they need to treat people a certain way based off of the money they make, the people they hang around, the clothes they wear, the car they drive, or the job they work. But genuinely, I treat people based off of how you treat me and how you treat other people. So, or how like your spirit shines through in your actions. Like how you behave in your day-to-day will show who you really are. And people will say money changes people. People become evil after money. Nah, people just become inhibited after money. It hits a point of I don't gotta be respectful anymore. I don't have to wait anymore. I don't have to do this anymore. Or people just become more of who they really were. So if you wanted to really be an asshole before you had money, you're gonna be an asshole once you get the money. If you were a sweetheart, generous, caring soul before you had money, you're gonna be a sweetheart, generous, caring soul after you get the money. Now, do situations happen that can change people's behavior and minds and make them not as sweet and caring as they used to be? Yeah, because I genuinely have seen that I'm not as open as I used to be because, and maybe it's the environment too, but genuinely I've been around some people that are just wicked bitches, and it made me realize, yeah, everybody isn't deserving of the kind of person that I am. So let me close it off a little bit, and I'll decide and like not necessarily test people because I don't have time to be testing people. I got my own life to live and I got too much shit to do that I'm trying to work towards, that I want to make my future better, to be sitting around like laying out traps for people to fail and all that. It's not that serious. But I will go about determining who is worthy of my level of kindness that I really want to give, because people will see you have levels of sweetness to you and they take advantage for it. They take your kindness for weakness. So you got to be careful sometimes with who you're displaying certain levels of kindness with, but you could still be a kind person overall, you know? So I learned my lessons, but nobody's above me, nobody's beneath me. And that means that I don't care about what social rankings you may hold. I'm still that bitch beside anybody. I don't care. Jenny, call me crazy, call me stupid. Beside anybody, I'm that bitch. Okay? So that's why I truly feel like I'm bigger than the program, in the way of like, you're not going to make me feel bad about myself because you deem that somebody that looks like me or comes from where I come from, does what I do, or dealt with certain circumstances. You deem that I should feel bad about myself. You deem that I should think I'm ugly. You deem that I shouldn't have confidence. Who the hell are you to me? I'm not fucking with your program, babe. This my program. This my movie. This my screenplay. This my book. Fuck what you got going on. And what I've come to realize is people really, really hate that. Like, they don't like when you say fuck their program, because that's what they've been sticking to, and that's what they want everybody else to like correspond with. Like, if they believe that you aren't worthy of love, or you should think that you're ugly, or you shouldn't succeed, or you don't make enough money, you don't deserve that respect in their eyes, they get mad that you behave in that way. Where it's like, you don't care. Because they want you to care, because that would validate a program. When you ignore that, it invalidates their program. So if somebody making you feel like you're not good enough, just say fuck their program. And will they get mad? Yeah. I've watched people purposefully exclude me from things and then be upset that I didn't care that they excluded me. Because in order for what they're doing to work, I would need to care that they excluded me. And I would need to beg for them to include me. And when you don't do that, they get mad, because that invalidates the program that they're trying to set up. So at the end of the day, believe in yourself, man. Like, don't let nobody make you feel like you got to correspond to their antiquated and dumb ass beliefs. Like, just because you believe that people that come from certain circumstances shouldn't be able to succeed or excel does not mean that that's what I'm going to live by. I choose not to subscribe to those beliefs. And you can't force me to, no matter like what people will do, because people will go about like sinister ways of trying to force you to live by the program that they living by. Nah, you got to stand strong in it. And everybody want to talk about they real, they strong, they this, they that, but it is that until you really got to like show people that you live in what you're talking about, that you're not gonna let nobody just punk you down, that you're not gonna let people play with you, that you would rather be alone than let people treat you a certain kind of way or play their hierarchy games with you. So at the end of the day, I honestly and truly do feel like whatever I say goes for my life. If I want to succeed, I'm going to succeed. If I, God forbid, chose to be a failure, that would be my business. I chose to, not work as hard. Because I feel like with things, you have to make the decision. And I don't care what nobody says. I don't watch people with no hands, no legs accomplish certain things. And I'll be like, how the hell did you even do that? That don't even make sense. But to them, it made sense. They decided, I don't give a damn what the odds are. I am not the odds. So you have to really treat your life like that and say, I don't care what nobody thinks is going to be my life. That's not going to be my life. So what I've come to realize is sometimes you gotta be willing to be honest enough with yourself to see that sometimes what you want requires more work than you're willing to put in. And you got to make that decision. Do I want to put in the extra work, or do I want to sit around and be a hater? Or do I want to just say, you know what, kudos to the people that could do it, because I can't. Because I've experimented with lots of different things. And y'all, I had to just, in some things, I had to just give them folk them kudos. I said, wow, y'all putting in work. Y'all working for real. Y'all are insane. I thought I worked hard. Nah. There's always somebody out there that's going to outwork you. Always. 100%. You think you putting in work, there's always somebody out there that's going to whoop your ass when it comes to the putting in work. They make you look like you bullshit. So there are people that look at me and they think, oh my God, she on it. Because they tell me. They be like, oh, you on it. You be getting it. And I'm sitting here telling myself I'm not doing enough, right? And there's somebody out there saying, you ain't even scratch the surface, girl. So there's always somebody who will outwork you. You just got to decide, do you want that to be a thing? Because there are certain instances where when I'm faced with it, I'll be like, I refuse to let anybody outwork me. Now, if it's like a phantom person that I don't know about, they might be able to outwork me because I just don't know. But don't let me see in my face there's somebody and it's like, oh, that's supposed to. And I feel like I'm competitive, yes, but not competitive in the traditional sense. I'm competitive with myself, yes, and to an extent other people, but not competitive enough to obsess over and be ultra concerned. Like, I'll be like, oh, okay, she popping her shit. Let me see if I could do this, whatever. But after that, it's like locked in with me. And I've seen plenty of videos where people were like, when you say you're not competing with nobody else, it brings in competition because now people are looking at you like, who do you think you are to not be competing with us? And it's so funny that the more self-driven and self-focused that you become is the more that people want to become focused on you. Like, the less you care about other people is the more other people become focused on you, because they want to know, why on earth do you feel like you're so important to not pay attention to us? And that's insane, but it's the truth. So at the end of the day, I have become like more selfish, more driven about what I want, what makes me happy, what makes me feel good. And sometimes it could be a little bit lonely, but I'm not going to say lonely for certain, because you can be alone and not be lonely. And I truly feel like sometimes people are in your life that are not meant for you, and they know they ain't meant for you. They know they kind of leeching, or they know they're not treating you right, or they know they can't keep up, or they know whatever. And they will just like filter themselves out when they see you accomplishing a certain level of things, because they start to feel a little bit threatened by it, because your work exposes their lack of, or at least that's what they're going through internally and mentally. They feel like your work is going to expose their lack of work. So you gotta really put yourself in a position to not give a damn what people have to say about you or what they think you could accomplish. And a thing that I'm learning, especially with social media, for starters, I'm starting to learn social media is not your friend. You know, like, we could build these communities and we can be happy with the following that we build or the people that we get to talk to and stuff like that. But there's not your friend with certain stuff. So certain stuff ain't meant to tell. But there's levels of announcing that you got to be on. And what I've learned for myself is sometimes announcing helps me, because I am very self-driven, but sometimes when it's a little bit more of a difficult goal and I announce it, me announcing it makes people lock back in with me and be like, okay, so what's the update? What's going on? You know, like, and that kind of gives me the motivation, because sometimes just solely giving yourself the motivation, it's hard to really push through those days of, I don't feel like getting up, I can't do this, it's too hard. And I can definitely say those days that people came to me when I was doing the Finding My Voice, the singing portion, and they were like, hey, we're waiting for the next day. That helped me through, because I was like, bro, I can't take this. Like, or it was just becoming too much, or I just didn't feel like doing it generally, just being lazy, you know? So I feel like that is helpful. But sometimes when you do announce something and then life just starts lifing, or you can't really keep track of it, or maybe you change your mind and you decided you just don't want to do it no more. Now that you've announced it, now people are expecting it. Now people, if you decide, hey, I'm not going to do this no more, now you're going to be called a failure, or now you're going to be, you know, and it just all goes into like, do you really care what people got to say about what you got going on? Well, I mean, maybe not, but at the end of the day, if you hadn't announced it, then you wouldn't have to be held to a standard or held accountable for having said, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to start doing this, or, you know, do this on this timeline. Because for me, oh my God, baby, life be lifing, and when life start lifing, I be on my, like, fuck everybody, like that. But that's just how I am. Like, one thing, and maybe that's a bit selfish, so that's why for me, I will be honest with the people that need the information. Building a community can be difficult in that way, because I'm somebody that likes to check in with myself. And if I can't show up for myself, then it's difficult for me to start showing up for everybody else. And I stopped showing up for everyone more than I showed up for myself a long time ago. So when I'm really not feeling it, like really mentally, or just like I know I need a break, or I know I really need my rest, I need to take a beat. Like, I don't want to do the social media thing. And it makes people that support me be like, where is she at? Like, you know, why is she not doing it right now? Whatever. And that's the space I'm in right now, of trying to figure out, like, how can I still, in a healthy way, always make sure I'm making sure that I'm okay while still showing up for a community that I'm building. So I have to learn the healthy balance of what to announce and what not to announce, how to move, and, you know, hold on, y'all. How to still power through when I'm really not feeling it, how to be able to show up. Because I feel like the journey of an entrepreneur is really learning yourself. And through learning yourself, you might sell some products, you might get some followers, you might build a community, but you really had to learn who you are. And you had to take in the good things and kick out the bad things, or accept some bad things and say, this is what makes me me, and I love me for who I am. Or acknowledge, hey, sometimes I need to sometimes I might run it down. I might be able to kick out content like this, but then I need to take a week or two off and just say, give me a second, y'all. Maybe I can take 2 days between making content. Maybe I could say, oh, okay, I can make content consistently and be okay, but I just need to make a little bit, or make a batch it like of a whole lot at a time. So I feel like the journey that I'm on, I'm really trying to learn myself and trying to learn what works for me. And it's such a beautiful journey, such a beautiful one, you know? But trying to grow in front of a camera can sometimes be a little bit uncomfortable, or it can have people feeling like, see, she not consistent. Or, but then again, whenever I hear from people, to an extent, they don't think that I'm not consistent, because I do kick out a lot of content, but I have to hit a space of being able to catch a rhythm. I'm not really good with keeping up with a rhythm, and I'm trying to learn how to do that better. And genuinely, sometimes I ask myself, am I just lazy, or am I bad with systems? So the advice I would give to anybody that wants to do content like seriously or anything seriously, try to make your systems better. Like, try to make it as low friction as possible to get the work done that you need to get done. And then run it down. Find your lane and run it down. Because I mean, if you go along with my YouTube, I guess, it's taken me like 6-7 years to find my lane. And I found my lane, and I'm running it down. But also, like, I'm trying to figure out what I want at the end of this lane, because with music, it's so interesting the way people treat music. Like, I've always loved music all my life. And I've found if I find other ways to make money, sometimes in anything else, I'm not even just talking about with music, that I'm not putting as much focus as I could be into that thing. And that makes the thing not necessarily suffer, but just not get as far as it could be if it was just that plan. Because I've heard people say sometimes with music or whatever they were doing that there was no plan B. And my problem is that I have a plan B, C, D, E, F, G. Like, I'm always going to get me some money. Like, I know how to hustle. And it's a blessing that I know how to hustle. But it makes me... It's like a blessing and a curse, because it makes me never put myself in a position to stick with one thing and potentially just fail fully in that one thing. Because it's always a backup plan. It's always a, if this don't work out, I got this. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. But I need to learn how to just fully commit to one thing. So I'm trying to learn how to do that. And through that growth, I'm learning who I am as a person. And also, I want to live my life, like really live my life. Because for so long, I was so unhappy. And I could be honest about that. And I hit a space of prioritizing my happiness. And now I low-key, it's hard to let certain things slide. Because my happiness is the most important thing to me. I don't know. Yeah, it's cute. So, if I had to give any advice, I would tell y'all, figure out what's important to you and be serious about it and really determine, are you willing to put that work in? If it feels like too much work initially, you got to work your way up. It takes time to be a great. So give yourself that time and give yourself that space, but don't be so lazy and so quick to give up and be like, oh, I just can't do it. Never mind, fuck it. Because you never know, if you stuck to something, how much better you would get at it. And sometimes it does take a little bit of a longer path to get to where you're going. But sometimes what you want to do, you might succeed at it way quicker than you think you would. So you just got to stick with it. And always be able to say that you're not going to follow somebody else's program of not believing in yourself, of not being able to do something. No. If I say I can, if God said I can, then I can. No matter what obstacle gets in my way, no matter what time it takes to get the thing done, to learn the thing, to get better at the thing. If God said I can, I can. And I'm going to make it happen. So that's been something that I've had to deal with my whole life. People telling me, you can't do this. You can't do that. You won't succeed. You won't be this. You won't be that. Well, guess what? If I believe I can be, then I will be. And sometimes people will try to place their own limitations on you because they believe that in your shoes, they wouldn't be able to. So it's not even like they're really trying to pull you down. They just genuinely really feel like it's not possible. And hell, maybe to you it's impossible, but to me, I don't think so. So you decide if something's going to be able to be accomplished or not. Not the next person. Not your mama, not your daddy, not your friends, not your coworkers. You. So how bad do you want it? See y'all later.